on a reckless impulse. I kissed the villainess from the novel I was obsessed with, and somehow I actually managed to melt her icy heart. Just as I was lost in the bliss of our life together, a mysterious force yanked me back to my original world. I thought it was all just a crazy dream, until the day a group of men in black suits cornered me. She stood before me, hands on her hips, her perfect eyebrows arched in fury. "Leo Carter, you goddamn player. You kiss me, and then you just ghost me. What happened to I'm going to marry you? Let me tell you something, you jerk. You're going to take responsibility for this, and you're going to marry me. Today, I've been dropped into a trashy modern romance novel as a total nobody. And the beautiful woman currently pinned against a wall, her eyes glinting like shards of ice, was Isabella Vance, the story's magnificent villainess, doomed to a tragic end. Surrounding her were her arch-nemesis, the male lead, and a crowd of onlookers just enjoying the show. My brain short-circuited, and I did something that left everyone completely stunned. I shoved my way through the crowd, pushed the male lead aside, and before anyone could process what was happening, I cupped the back of Isabella's head and kissed her. Her lips were soft, with a lingering sweetness from the red wine she'd been drinking. Her body, however, was as rigid as a statue. The room fell so silent you could hear a pin drop, followed by a collective gasp. I pulled back, looked into her murderous eyes, and said with utter seriousness, "I kissed you. That means you have to marry me now." She stared at me for 2 full seconds, then her hand flew up and cracked across my face. The force of it made my ears ring. "Psycho." She spat the word, then turned and stalked away, the sharp clicks of her heels on the marble floor echoing her rage. The male lead scowled at me, his expression like he was looking at a stray dog that had stolen his food. I touched my stinging cheek, a strange sense of victory blooming in my chest. At least now, she'd definitely remember me. In the book, she was ultimately ruined by the male and female leads working together. Her family went bankrupt, and she ended up in a psychiatric hospital, completely broken. It was too cruel. I didn't want to see her end up like that. Even though I was just a regular guy with no power or influence, I had to at least try to change her fate, even if my method was a little abrupt. People started whispering around me. I couldn't stand the noise, so I turned and left the ballroom. Just as I reached the exit, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. A cold female voice came through the line. "Leo Carter, right? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. The coffee shop on Main. I'll give you one chance to explain yourself." It was her, Isabella Vance. A grin spread across my face. This was it. My chance. Okay, I'll be there. After hanging up, the reality of my situation hit me. I was a recent college grad with no money and no connections. How was I supposed to stand up to a wealthy heiress like Isabella, let alone save her? Well, I'd cross that bridge when I came to it. First, I had to meet her. The next morning, I woke up early, dug through my closet for the nicest clothes I owned, and got to the coffee shop half an hour early. Isabella arrived right on time. She wore a sleek black pantsuit and sunglasses, radiating an aura of pure power that turned every head in the place. She sat down across from me, took off her sunglasses, and fixed me with a scrutinizing gaze from those beautiful eyes. "All right, talk. What is it you really want?" Looking at her, my bravado from the night before evaporated. I just think you're really beautiful." The second the words left my mouth, I regretted them. So lame. Isabella let out a cold laugh. "Beautiful. So you assault me? Leo, let me give you some advice. Don't play these stupid games with me. I don't have the time." "It's not a game," I said, trying to recover. I just wanted to get to know you." She raised an eyebrow, her expression screaming. "You really think I believe that?" The silence was awkward. I scrambled for something else to say, anything, when I suddenly remembered a plot point from the book. Around this time, she was fighting with her family because she refused to go through with an arranged marriage. I began cautiously. Are you having trouble because you don't want to marry that guy from the Sterling family?" Isabella's expression shifted instantly, a hint of alarm in her eyes. "How did you know that?" My heart leaped. I was right, but I couldn't tell her I'd read it in a novel. I just heard people talking," I said vaguely. She clearly didn't buy it, but didn't press the issue. "That has nothing to do with you," she said dismissively. How can it not? I pushed, summoning my courage. If you don't want to marry him, I can help you. She looked at me as if I just told the funniest joke in the world, letting out a sharp laugh. When she was done, her eyes turned cold again. You? Help me. Leo, do you have any idea who the Sterlings are? What could you possibly do? Her words hit their mark, and my confidence wavered. Still, I square my shoulders. Because I want you to marry me instead. She looked like she was about to explode, so I quickly added, Look, if you're with me, your family can't force you to marry the Sterling heir anymore, right? It kills two birds with one stone. She stared at me for a long time, then a slow, calculating smile spread across her face. Okay, you want to play? Let's play. Come up with $10 million in 1 month, and I'll consider it. I froze. $10 million? She had to be kidding. I couldn't even come up with 10,000. Seeing my dumbfounded expression, Isabella's smile turned into a sneer. What's wrong? Can't do it. Then stop making empty promises. I gritted my teeth. I had to call her bluff. Fine. 1 month. She seemed genuinely surprised that I'd agreed. She stood up. Good. I'll be waiting. And if you don't have the money by then, don't blame me for what happens next. She walked out, leaving me sitting there completely stunned. $10 million. It was an impossible fantasy. I sat there for ages, trying to think of any way, any scheme to make that kind of money. Was I really going to give up? No, absolutely not. Just as I was sinking into despair, my phone vibrated. It was a text from an unknown number. Want to make some real money? Come to this bar. Got a job for you. I hesitated. A shady job offer like this felt dangerous. But the thought of that $10 million goal pushed me to go. What if it was a real opportunity? That night, I found the bar at the address I was sent. The place was grimy, filled with smoke and music so loud it rattled my teeth. I sat at the bar, and before I could order anything, a burly guy in a black tank top approached me. You, Leo? I nodded. Yeah. Who's looking for me? The guy just jerked his head, telling me to follow. I followed him through the sweaty crowd to a private room in the back. He pushed the door open. Inside, a man in his 50s with a greasy smile and a prominent belly was sitting on a sofa. So, you're Leo? He said, looking me up and down. I am. You wanted to see me? I asked. The man gestured for me to sit. I hear you're trying to win over Isabella Vance, he said casually. A chill went down my spine. How did he know that? What's it to you? He chuckled. Don't be so tense, kid. I'm not here to give you a hard time. On the contrary, I'm here to help you. Help me. I was skeptical. That's right, the man nodded. I've got a little score to settle with the Vance family. That girl, Isabella, I wanted to take her down a peg for a long time. If you do a little favor for me, I can give you a very large sum of money. More than enough to hit your $10 million target. My brow furrowed. This sounded like he wanted me to do something to hurt Isabella. What kind of favor? The man leaned closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Nothing big. I just need you to deliver a file to Isabella Vance's office. Just put it in her desk drawer. My internal alarms were screaming now. This was too easy. A simple delivery for $10 million. What's in the file? Don't ask questions you don't need the answers to. The man's face hardened. You just need to tell me. Are you in or are you out? I hesitated. On one hand, the money was incredibly tempting. On the other, my gut told me this was a trap designed to destroy Isabella. I remember a part in the novel where someone planted a fake document containing corporate secrets in her office, framing her for leaking information and causing her to lose her position in the company. Could this be it? Well, made up your mind, the man pressed, his patience wearing thin. I took a deep breath and shook my head. Sorry, I can't help you with this. The man's expression turned ugly. Do you have any idea what happens when people tell me no? Whatever the consequences, I won't help you hurt Isabella, I said, my voice firm. Fine. Very fine. The man clapped his hands together slowly. You chose the hard way. Don't blame me for what comes next. As he finished speaking, the burly guy started walking toward me, cracking his knuckles. My heart pounded. I spun around to run, but another guy was already blocking the door. Looks like I was trapped. Just as I braced for the worst, the door to the room was kicked open with a loud bang. Isabella Vance strode in, flanked by a couple of bodyguards. She took in the scene and frowned. Mr. Wallace, what exactly do you think you're doing? The man, Wallace, paled when he saw Isabella. He quickly plastered a smile on his face. Isabella, what a surprise. I was just having a friendly chat with this young man. Does a friendly chat require hired muscle? Isabella retorted coldly. Leo, come with me. I was stunned. I never expected her to come and rescue me. Wallace tried to stop me, but Isabella's bodyguards blocked his path. I followed her out of the bar. She didn't say a word the entire time, and the tension was thick. When we reached the parking garage, she finally stopped and turned to face me. Are you an idiot? You actually believed a lowlife like Wallace? I didn't know what to say. Do you have any idea what was in that file he wanted you to deliver? It was enough to land you in prison for years. Her voice was sharp with emotion. I know, I said quietly. That's why I said no. She paused, her expression softening just a little. Well, at least you have some sense. How did you know I was here? I asked. I've had someone keeping an eye on Wallace. I knew as soon as he made a move, she said flatly. I just didn't expect him to find you. So that was it. She was already one step ahead of him. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. She scoffed. Don't get the wrong idea. I didn't do it for you. I just didn't want you messing up my own plans. Even though her words were harsh, I knew she was worried about me. So, about the $10 million. I brought it up carefully. She shot me a glare. Do you really think you're getting that now? I hung my head, disappointed. No. Oh, stop looking so pathetic, she sighed. That condition is off the table. My head snapped up. Really, she confirmed. But don't get too excited. It's not going to be that easy to get me to marry you. So, there's still a chance? I asked, hope surging. She didn't answer. She just opened her car door and got in. I'm leaving. Try not to get into any more trouble. Watching her car disappear into the night, I felt like I was floating. I hadn't gotten the money, but she hadn't cut me off completely. That was progress. Over the next few days, I racked my brain trying to figure out how to get closer to Isabella, how to make her actually like me. But for a broke guy like me, the options were limited. As I was wallowing, I got a call from my old college advisor. He was inviting me to an alumni networking event. I wasn't going to go, but then he mentioned that a few alumni from major corporations would be there, and it might be a good chance to find a job. That got my attention. The event was at a decent hotel downtown. When I arrived, the place was already buzzing with people making connections, talking about their careers, their mortgages, their cars. I didn't fit in, so I found a quiet corner to stand in. I was starting to feel bored when I heard someone call my name. Leo? Leo Carter? Is that really you? I looked up to see my old college roommate, Mike Johnson. Mike, long time no see, I said with a smile. Yeah, man, it's been forever. Where are you working now? He asked. I felt a little embarrassed, still looking for the right fit. Mike clapped me on the shoulder. Hey, no worries, man. You'll find something. Actually, let me introduce you to someone. My boss. He's an alum, too. He pulled me over to a man in an expensive suit. Mr. Harrison, this is my old roommate, Leo. Mr. Harrison gave me a cursory glance and a non-committal nod. Just as I was about to introduce myself, I overheard a conversation nearby. Did you guys hear? Apparently, Isabella Vance is having a huge fight with her family. I heard her dad actually kicked her out of the house. No way. The princess of the Vance family, homeless. It's true. My dad told me. It's all because she won't marry the sterling heir. My heart clenched. Kicked out of her house. Where's she living now? I made a quick excuse to Mike and rushed out of the hotel. I pulled out my phone, wanted to call Isabella, but I was worried she wouldn't pick up. After hesitating, I sent her a text. Are you okay? I heard. The message sent, but there was no reply. I grew more anxious. I remembered a detail from the book. After being kicked out, she moved into a small condo she had bought herself. I couldn't remember the exact address, but I knew the neighborhood. I decided to go look for her. Maybe I'd get lucky. The neighborhood was on the other side of town. It took over an hour on the bus to get there. It was a massive complex, and I wandered around aimlessly, about to give up when I saw a familiar figure. It was Isabella. She was dressed in casual clothes, carrying a heavy-looking grocery bag, and she looked exhausted. I ran over. Isabella. She looked up, startled to see me. What are you doing here? I heard you. I gestured toward the bags in her hand. You live here now? She nodded silently. You're moving all this stuff by yourself? Why didn't you call me? I said, taking the heavy bag from her. I don't need your pity, she said, though her voice lacked its usual bite. It's not pity. I looked at her. I genuinely want to help. She didn't argue. She just turned and started walking, and I hurried to keep up. Her place was a top-floor studio. A walk up. We were both out of breath by the time we reached her door. She opened it to reveal a mostly empty space with a few pieces of new, unassembled furniture. "This is where you're living?" I asked, surprised. It was a world away from the mansion I imagined she grew up in. "Is there a problem?" she snapped. "No, not at all. It's great. Just a little small." I corrected myself quickly. She ignored me and started unpacking. I set the bag down and started helping her. The afternoon sun streamed through the window, illuminating the determined look on her face, and I felt a strange warmth spread through me. By the time we finished, it was late afternoon, and my stomach was growling loudly. Isabella seemed hungry, too, a slight frown on her face. "I'll go get us something to eat." "What do you feel like?" I asked. She thought for a moment. "Whatever. Something light." I ran downstairs and found a local deli, buying 2 types of soup and a few sandwiches. When I got back, she was sitting on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. "Here, eat up before it gets cold," I said, handing her the food. She took it without a word, but she ate with a focus that told me she was starving. After we finished, I gathered the trash without being asked. She just watched me, a new, unreadable expression in her eyes. "Hey, could I maybe crash here for a few days?" I asked, my heart pounding. I just wanted an excuse to stay with her. She looked at me, then gave a small nod. "Whatever." For the next few days, we lived like a normal couple. We cooked together, watched TV, and talked. She was actually a pretty good cook, though she had a short fuse. If she added too much salt, she'd shoot me a glare as if it were my fault. I realized she wasn't bad at all. She was just a lonely person who had built walls around herself because of the pressure from her family. One night, we watched a horror movie. At one of the jump scares, she flinched and buried her face in my shoulder for a second before quickly pulling away, her cheeks bright red. I was ecstatic. "What, you scared?" I teased. "Who's scared?" she retorted, but she scooted a little closer to me on the sofa. That night, we sat close together and talked for hours about everything from childhood memories to dreams for the future. I saw a vulnerability in her, a deep desire for warmth that she tried so hard to hide. I was falling for her hard, so hard that I was starting to forget I was just a visitor here, an anomaly who had stumbled into her world. That is, until one morning. I woke up and a line of text materialized in my mind's eye. "Return to original world in 7 days." I froze. The phone in my hand slipped, clattering to the floor. The screen spiderwebbed with cracks, a perfect reflection of my shattered heart. The noise woke Isabella. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. "What's wrong?" I quickly snatched the phone off the floor. "Nothing. Just slipped." She didn't question it, just yawned and got out of bed. "I'll make breakfast." Watching her walk into the kitchen, a lump formed in my throat. The happiest moments really are the shortest. From that day on, the first thing I did every morning was check the countdown. 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. Each number was a blow to the gut. I couldn't tell her. I couldn't bear to see the disappointment in her eyes. I couldn't bear to see her cry. So I started trying to make every last moment count. I woke up early every morning to make her breakfast. I usually burn the eggs. "Leo, did you dredge these eggs out of a charcoal pit?" She complained, frowning, but she would still eat every last bite. In the afternoons, I'd drag her to the park. We'd sit on a bench and watch a group of senior citizens do Tai Chi. She always said it was boring, but I'd catch her secretly tapping her foot to the rhythm of their slow movements. Once we passed a claw machine arcade. Her eyes lingered on a stuffed rabbit inside one of the machines. It took me $20 in ones, but I finally won it for her. She called it childish, but clutched the rabbit to her chest the whole way home. At night, I'd insist on watching old black and white movies. She'd lean her head on my shoulder and eventually fall asleep, her soft breath tickling my neck. I burned every one of these moments into my memory, wanting to take them with me as my only souvenirs. When the countdown hit 3 days, she suddenly said, "Leo, my birthday is next week. I want you to be there." A sharp pain lanced through my chest. The day of her birthday, I'd be gone. I forced a smile. "Of course. What do you want for a gift?" She tilted her head, thinking, "You don't have to give me a gift. You just have to be there when I blow out my candles." That night, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried, staring at the red-eyed idiot in the mirror. On the last day, with the countdown showing 1 day, I was a nervous wreck. She seemed to notice. "What's with you today? You're a million miles away." "Nothing. I lied, trying to act normal. Just tired. She reached out and felt my forehead. You don't have a fever. Her touch was so gentle. I grabbed her hand, not wanting to let go, wishing I could freeze time in that single moment. That night, as we were falling asleep, she held my arm. Leo, she whispered, you're not going to just disappear, are you? My heart stopped. Of course not, I said quickly. I still have to marry you, remember? She smiled at that and fell asleep. I stayed awake all night, watching the sky outside the window shift from black to gray to the pale light of dawn. The moment the countdown hit 0, the tears I'd been holding back finally fell. I quietly slipped out of bed, tucked the blanket around her, and placed a soft kiss on her forehead. On the nightstand, I left the letter I'd spent all night writing, alongside the stuffed rabbit she loved so much. I took one last look at her. She was sleeping peacefully, a small smile on her lips. I'm sorry, Isabella. I broke my promise. The letter. Isabella, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Don't look for me, and please don't be sad. I've just gone back to where I belong. The truth is, I'm not from this world. I was transported here. At first, all I wanted to do was save you from the tragic fate written for you in the book. But somewhere along the way, I realized I didn't just want to save you. I wanted to be with you. I wanted to make you breakfast every morning, even if I burn it, drag you to the park to watch Tai Chi, and win you every stuffed animal you ever wanted. These last few weeks with you have been the happiest of my entire life. Your birthday is almost here. I'm so sorry I can't be there to see you blow out your candles. Please take good care of the stuffed rabbit. Think of it as me, watching over you. Eat well. Don't always order takeout. It's bad for you. Don't fight with your family so much. They love you. They're just bad at showing it. And don't always try to carry everything on your own shoulders. There are people who care about you. And please forget me. Find someone better than me and live a happy life. I lied to you. It wasn't because I kissed you I have to marry you. It was because I wanted to marry you I dare to kiss you. If there's a next life, I promise I'll find you sooner. And I'll never leave again. Yours, Leo. When Isabella woke up, sunlight was already streaming through the blinds. The space next to her in bed was empty, but still faintly warm. She frowned and called out, Leo? There was no answer. The apartment was eerily quiet. She sat up, and her eyes fell on the nightstand. She saw the letter and the stuffed rabbit. A cold knot of dread formed in her stomach. She got out of bed and picked up the letter. The envelope was addressed to her in Leo's familiar handwriting. Her fingers trembled as she tore it open. She scanned the first few lines with confusion, but when she read, I'll be gone, her pupils contracted. Not from this world. Gone back to where I belong. The words were like needles stabbing at her eyes. Her grip on the paper tightened, her knuckles turning white. When she reached the line, and please forget me, a tear fell, then another, splattering onto the page and blurring the ink. She sank to the floor, her shoulders shaking with silent, suppressed sobs that she couldn't let out. The Leo who always burned the eggs, the Leo who made her watch old people in the park, the Leo who promised to marry her, was gone. She remembered asking him if he would disappear. He'd said, of course not. I still have to marry you. Liar. He was a goddamn liar. In a flash of rage, she grabbed the stuffed rabbit and hurled it against the wall. It slumped to the floor, its ears askew, looking up at her pathetically. A second later, she scrambled to pick it up, hugging it to her chest like it was the only thing left in the world. The apartment felt vast and empty. Her heart felt hollowed out, a cold wind blowing through the space he used to occupy. She sat on the floor from sunrise to sunset, not moving until hunger pains twisted in her stomach. She slowly got to her feet and looked in a mirror. The person staring back was a ghost, with swollen red eyes and a deathly pale face. A strange, broken smile touched her lips. It looked more painful than crying. Leo, did you think you could just leave and that would be the end of it? You tell me to forget you. You tell me not to look for you. Why should I listen to you? She picked up her phone, her fingers flying across the screen. She made one call after another, her voice as cold and hard as steel. I need you to find someone for me. His name is Leo Carter. Use any means necessary. I want to know where he is. After hanging up, she walked to the window and stared out at the city lights. A dangerous, obsessive gleam lit her eyes. You wanted to save me? You said you wanted to marry me? You don't get to just walk away. Not that easily. The person Isabella Vance wants, she gets. I don't care if you've run to the ends of the earth. I will find you. You don't want me to find you? Then I'll just have to try harder. And when I do, I'll ask you to your face why you thought you could just throw me away. Her gaze hardened. The softness he had brought out in her now frozen over, replaced by a chilling, unbreakable resolve. Leo Carter, you just wait. I will find you. And you better pray I don't. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my familiar studio apartment. The old band poster was still on the wall. Sunlight streamed through the window, and the smell of bacon from the diner downstairs drifted in. Everything was painfully real. I sat there for a long time, trying to convince myself I was really back. I placed a hand on my chest. My heart was beating steadily, but it felt empty. I checked my phone. The date was the same as the day I'd left. In this world, it was as if I'd only been asleep for one night. The first thing I did was call my parents. The moment I heard my mom's voice, I almost broke down. "Leo, honey, what a nice surprise to hear from you," she said cheerfully. "Mom," I said, my voice thick, "I miss you guys. I'm coming home this weekend." After the call, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at a world that was both familiar and strange, my mind filled with images of Isabella. How did she react to the letter? Did she cry? Did she hate me? The more I thought about it, the more it hurt. But I knew we were worlds apart now. That weekend, I took a bus home. My parents were thrilled to see me. Mom fussed over me, while Dad cooked all my favorite dishes. At dinner, my mom kept piling food on my plate. "Look at you, you're so thin. Aren't you eating properly out there?" I nodded, my mouth full, my eyes welling up. It felt so good to be cared for. I spent 2 quiet, peaceful days at home, but something was missing. The night I got back to my apartment, I cleaned up the place and took a full bag of trash downstairs. The hallway light flickered. As I walked down the steps, my mind, as usual, was on Isabella. I had just reached the dumpster when several figures burst out of the shadows. Before I could react, a hand clamped over my mouth, and they started dragging me toward a waiting van. I struggled, but they were too strong. Something hard hit the back of my head. A flash of white-hot pain, and then darkness. When I came to, I was lying on the floor of the van. My hands and feet were tied, and a cloth was stuffed in my mouth. The van was moving smoothly. I tried to see where we were going, but the city lights were just a blur. Panic seized me. Who were these guys? Why did they kidnap me? Did I make enemies in the novel world who had somehow followed me back? But that was impossible. A real-world enemy? I was a recent grad with no money. Who would I have pissed off? Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. After what felt like an eternity, the van stopped. The doors opened, and I was hauled out and thrown onto a concrete floor. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. I was in some kind of abandoned warehouse. The cloth was ripped from my mouth. I gasped for air, and just as I was about to scream for help, someone shoved me forward. I stumbled and fell to my knees. "Who are you? What do you want?" I yelled, my voice trembling. The men in black suits just stared at me, their faces impassive. The massive warehouse door creaked open, and the sharp click of high heels echoed in the cavernous space. As the figure drew closer, my heart hammered against my ribs. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was Isabella. She was wearing a stunning black dress, her makeup flawless. But it was her eyes that held me captive. They were filled with a chilling, obsessive fire. How are you here?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. She stopped in front of me, looking down at me with a cold smile. "What's the matter? Surprised to see me? But you're in that other." I started, but she cut me off. "In what other world?" She crouched down, her fingers gripping my chin, her grip painfully tight. "Leo, did you really think I was that easy to fool?" "I didn't fool you," I struggled to say. "I really thought. You thought you were in a novel? You thought we were in different dimensions?" She laughed, a sound completely devoid of humor. "Look around you, Leo. Touch the ground. Are we in different worlds?" I was speechless. I looked at my bound hands at the gritty floor. It was all real. Isabella's voice was like ice. "We have always been in the same world. Did you really think that running away to another city to get away from me was the same as jumping to another universe?" My mind exploded. The same world, the entire time. So all of it, the joy, the pain, the sweet, quiet moments, all of it was real. Then, how? I looked at her, confused. How did she find me? How'd I find you? She seemed to read my mind. She released my chin and stood up. Did you think leaving that stupid letter was the end of it? Leo, you owe me, and you're going to pay me back. I didn't mean to leave, I swear, I thought. I tried to explain again. Enough, she snapped. I don't want to hear your excuses. All I know is that you abandoned me. You ran away. Her voice trembled on the last words. I looked up and saw that her eyes were red. I'm sorry, I whispered. It was all I could say. What good is sorry? Her expression was a storm of conflicting emotions. Hate, resentment, and a deep, wounded vulnerability. You promised you would marry me. You promised you would never leave me. I lower my head, my heart twisting in my chest. Untie him. Isabella ordered one of the men. He hesitated for a second before complying. As soon as my hands were free, I rubbed my wrists, watching her, waiting to see what she would do next. You're coming with me, she said, then turned and walked out. I hesitated for only a moment before following her. I knew I owed her a debt I could probably never repay. The ride her car was silent and suffocating. She eventually pulled up to a luxury hotel and led me to the penthouse suite. Stay here. Don't even think about going anywhere. I'll deal with you when I've cooled down. With that, she went into the master bedroom and slammed the door. I sank onto the plush sofa in the living room, my mind reeling. So we were always in the same world. My disappearance must have felt like the ultimate betrayal to her. I couldn't imagine the pain I'd caused. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, the bedroom door opened and Isabella emerged, changed into a simple sweater and pants. She walked over and handed me a glass of water. You must be thirsty. I took it, my fingers brushing against hers. Thanks. The warm water did little to thaw the chill in my soul. Leo, she said, sitting beside me, tell me the truth. Why did you leave? Was it really because of this? This transmigration idea? I nodded, and I told her everything about waking up in her world, about the countdown, about my genuine belief that I was being sent back to another dimension. She listened quietly, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she finally spoke. So, from the very beginning, you thought we weren't from the same place? Yes, I admitted. I was afraid that if I told you the truth, you'd think I was insane. And I was afraid it would hurt more when I had to leave. You're an idiot, she said, the ice in her eyes finally beginning to melt. Do you have any idea how much it hurt to read that letter? I know. I looked at her, my heart aching, so I came back. No matter what, I'm never leaving you again. She stared at me, and her eyes welled up with tears again. She quickly turned her head away, but I saw them fall. Who wants you back? She muttered. I smiled and gently pulled her into my arms. She resisted for a moment, then leaned her head against my shoulder. Isabella, I whispered, I'm so sorry I hurt you. She didn't speak, but her shoulders trembled as she cried. It turned out we had always been in the same world. We just took a ridiculously painful detour to find each other again. This time, I was never letting go. After a while, Isabella's crying subsided. She pulled away, her eyes as red as the rabbit I'd won for her. She wiped her face and shot me a glare. What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen someone cry before? I shook my head, handing her tissue. No, it's just, you look beautiful, even when you cry. A tiny smile played on her lips, though she tried to hide it. Don't think this means I've forgiven you, she said, clearing her throat and regaining some of her composure. You owe me, and you're going to make it up to me. Anything, whatever you want, I'll do it, I said earnestly. She tilted her head. First, you'll make me breakfast every single morning, and you will not burn the eggs. Deal. Second, you'll take me to the park every weekend to watch the old people do Tai Chi, and you have to do the silly foot tapping thing with me. Consider it done, and you'll go back to that arcade and win every single one of those stuffed rabbits for me. I want to fill the entire sofa. Okay, I'll do my best. That one was going to be tough, but for her, I'd become a claw machine master. Seeing my serious expression, she finally let out a real laugh. It was like the sun breaking through the clouds, and it lit up the entire room. In the weeks that followed, I moved back to the city and got a job near her company. Every morning, I made her breakfast. I still messed up sometimes, but she never complained anymore. She'd just quietly eat the slightly burnt eggs. On weekends, we went to the park. She'd pull me along to mimic the Tai Chi movements, drawing amused looks from the senior citizens. I was embarrassed, but she loved it. I must have gone to that arcade a dozen times, but I finally did it. I won every last rabbit. Isabella arranged them on the sofa in the bedroom, and she had to hug one to fall asleep every night. The more time we spent together, the more I knew I couldn't live without her. And I saw her changing, too. The walls she had built were crumbling, replaced by warmth and laughter. One night, I held her close and said, "Isabella, come home with me. I want you to meet my parents." She stiffened slightly. "Isn't it too soon? What if they don't like me?" "They will love you," I reassured her. "My parents are great. Besides, I want them to meet the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with." She looked into my eyes and nodded. Okay, that weekend, I brought Isabella home. The moment we walked in, my mom took Isabella's hands and wouldn't let go, gushing about how beautiful she was. "She's way too good for my son," she declared. My dad bustled around the kitchen, peeking out every few minutes with a happy, approving smile. At dinner, my mom practically ignored me, piling Isabella's plate with food and asking her a million questions. Isabella was a bit shy at first, but she quickly warmed up, chatting happily with my mom while my dad chimed in. Watching them, my heart felt full. This was what happiness was. After dinner, Isabella insisted on helping with the dishes. My mom pulled me aside. "Leo, she's a wonderful girl. You better treat her right. You hear me? Don't you ever hurt her." "I know, Mom," I said seriously. "I'll spend my whole life making her happy." On the drive back, Isabella rested her head on my shoulder. "Leo," she whispered. "Thank you." "For what?" "For making me feel like I'm loved." Her voice was thick with emotion. I squeezed her hand, my own eyes getting misty. "I should be thanking you for coming into my life and lighting up my whole world." The car sped along the highway, the streetlights blurring into a string of pearls. I glanced at Isabella beside me. Her eyes were closed, and a sweet, peaceful smile graced her lips.